What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? You know what time it is. It's time for On The Perch. This is the interview segment that we have for former athletes that come in here and also coaches, journalists, and folks that are in the sports world. But we got a special one for you tonight. We have Mr. Josh Evans, former safety for the NFL Jacksonville Jaguars, Washington Commanders, and also for his Florida Gators. But we gonna get into that in a little bit, man. But before you get in here, hit that like and subscribe button, man. We got you covered. You know how we get down. You either get right or you get left. So go ahead and get right so we can get this thing started. We'll be right back.
Okay, y'all, this is it.
Has landed. Welcome to On The Perch.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? You know how we get down. You either get right or you get left, and you're getting right, you're in the cage. Hey, this one here is going to be a good one. But you know what? See, I went against my religion or whatnot to bring this one to life. But you know, he's a former DB like myself. I'm always going to show love to the DBs. Just a little misguided in his choice of colleges, but it's okay though. This man is a class act, very humble, good brother to talk to. We got Mr. Josh Evans in the building today. You know how we welcome folks. Let's get to it.
Make a clap to this.
What up, Josh?
What's going on, man?
Hey, man, welcome to On The Perch, man. I know this is a little bit out of your element because you're used to the swamp or you used to the jungle down there in Jacksonville. So we got to get you up high on the perch with us birds for a little bit, man. What's going on?
I'm pretty good, man. How about yourself?
Man, it's always a blessing to be on this side of the dirt and always great to see new people and actually get ready to get to it, man. So welcome, brother.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm excited to see where things go. You got the wrong jersey on, though, to start this off. Where that Gator jersey at?
Now, hold up.
Come on,
hey,
man.
I'm
cutting up already.
Hold up. I'm going to tell you how Dion said it.
I got one thing to say. This is my house. I built this, and this is my house.
You coming into a half bird cage and a half dog kennel. Listen, I like fried gator tail, by the way, especially when it's seasoned up with some hot sauce and a little bit of Zatarans or whatnot. You know, y'all definitely provide that, and y'all provide gator boots for the pimps and players out here too. That's what a gator is good for. So you know.
Yes, sir.
Hey, man,
I'll take that. It's your show.
But you know what though? But getting to it, before we get to it, man, you know, I'm up here in Philly. You and I met at Miss Lynn Jones. Shout out to Miss Lynn Jones, the Lynn Jones Experience.
Miss Lynn Jones, for sure.
Yes. She was up here during the 4th of July hanging out with Miss Bobby Booker. Shout out to the veteran voice of the jazz scene in Philadelphia, as well as a journalist, Miss Bobby Booker, sweetheart, just like Miss Jones is. But we met at the Lynn Jones Experience. We had a little quick brief intermission where we talked for a minute. But I'm up here not too far from your hometown over in Jersey. I'm up here in Philly.
Sir.
Irvington's about an hour away. Man, when you talk about Jersey and you talk about where you come from,
right,
it's something in the water with folks from Jersey. Y'all are just a different breed or whatnot. You know, y'all not like New York. Y'all not like Philly. Y'all are just a different breed in a good way. What is when you talk about what's in the water, what motivated you to get into athletics and really take it serious? And who was a huge motivation for you before you got started with your career?
Right, good question. I mean, I come from a family of athletes. My dad played, my brother played. I got a nephew who's a month older than me. I know it sounds crazy. My mom and sister was pregnant at the same time. A cousin that played, older cousins that played. So believe it or not, we come from a very competitive household. So it was by nature to kind of get into the game early and get right to it. And I think it was just in our bloodline to everybody played football. That was just something that we all did.
Man. And when you talk about Jersey Tough, you talk about some of the great players that have come out of New Jersey. You talk about Jack Tatum. You talk about
Oh,
Jim Kick, Noshawn Marino, Bulldog. You know I got to throw him up in there. But I'm not just gonna say him because it's always been Rick Caceres. I'm talking about legendary players that played in the league.
mhm.
Jersey has a pedigree of athletes that are football players that go to the league, but no one talks about
Right.
what you guys produce football wise. They always talk about basketball and boxing, but
Mhm.
you don't really hear on the verbal scene unless you really are a student of the game how
Right.
many guys come out of Jersey and how many guys are really good. Like, do you take that as more, did you take that as more of motivation for you to become even better when you got down to the South and played at Florida? Or did you see that as a situation where you just kind of look at it like, well, you know what? This is just the cards I was dealt. Let me go ahead and put on for the state and let them know we still have ball players up here.
Right. I mean, to be honest, Jersey is a scrappy state, man. You know,
Oh,
we get it out the mud in Jersey. But you look at the University of Florida, damn near 3 years in a row, 3 years in a row, they got the number one player in New Jersey. You know,
mm-hmm.
they got me, Will Hill, Justin Tradow, right? So those are three of the top guys to leave the state and come down south. I just think Jersey get overlooked sometimes because you got bigger states like Florida, Cali, Texas, where it's so many guys going to big schools. You get what I'm saying? So I think when you put us in the bracket with them, it get overlooked. People talk about basketball, like you said, boxing, and other things of that nature. But it's a lot of dogs, man. There's a lot of talent that come out of Jersey that play with the best. And when you can move and play in a different city, different state, and adapt to a different environment, I think that tells it all. It was hot as hell my my first 2 years at the University of Florida. It took me 2 years to get adjusted to their heat compared to our heat. And I was a track guy, and it was exhausting. But I just think, Jersey kids, they adapt and they're able to play wherever.
So let's talk about your beginnings. You're from Jersey. When
Mhm.
did you start getting involved with sports? What was your household like growing up? I met your older sister. You can tell her I apologize because I thought that was your profile at one point. Because you remember you told me to link up and she about cussed me out. But
Oh Lord, she aggressive. She's
Pound-
really
shout
aggressive.
out to Miss Pound Cake Evans, man. I appreciate it. I apologize. She said, how many people you know with the name Pound Cake? I apologize. So
You saw Evans and thought, hey, this might be his fade.
hey, that's what I told her. I said, this dude's with crazy nicknames. So it don't surprise me.
Yeah.
No, my name is
Now
Pound Cake.
I will address that. You will never find me with the name called Pound Cake. It's crazy work. Okay,
Hey,
that's
I
crazy
apologize.
work. Now it's all good though. Some people with crazy names. Pound Cake is crazy work.
Yeah, but
Um,
but I saw the picture of you with your sister, so I was
yeah, no, I
already
can
just
see that.
thinking that.
Nah, for sure. For sure. But what was your question again? My bad. The Pound Cake
So
threw me off.
so growing up in Jersey, like you said, you
Mhm.
grew up in Irvington. Um, you already talked about how you kind of got started in sports. What was it like for you growing up in the house with a bunch of siblings, like you were saying, that were athletic and people that
Mhm.
kind of pushed you to become great? And what was it like before you got to high school and you were still trying to find your way? And how did you fall in love with football?
Right. I mean, I don't think I'd be the athlete, I turned out to be with not coming from a competitive household. Literally three family members, my nephew and my cousin, we all around the same age, born the same year, few months apart. So, when you're growing up with family, it's a battle of who the best. Everybody competing the best. Who's number one at this? Who's winning in races outside? Who's winning in tag, freeze tag, you name it. How they go, like who's the best at everything. So that definitely struck a match right then and there from just being competitive. Started playing ball at the age of 9, And truth be told, back then, as you know, we didn't have 9U, 10U. That wasn't a thing that exists. I was 9 playing with the big dogs. It was 9, 10, 11, 12, Pee Wee ball, back where I was from. So, my first 2 years, I got off to a good start. My first 2 years, we won a championship back to back. And that opened up a high of, I'm on a good team. And I was the youngest one. And everybody was teeing off, put Josh in to hit me, to tackle me. I was the stunt dummy, coming in, and everybody wanted to take advantage of the young guy, but it made me tougher. It made me mentally stronger. And I just was used to being the young guy that played with older kids. So by the time my time came around, I was already acclimated to, playing with the older kids. And by the time I got to high school, those kids that were older than me, we started to align up and be around the same ages, and actually had another good squad in high school. But yeah, I would say definitely, man, from 8, Part 1, like I said, my brother played. He went to the University of Buffalo, and you just strive to be the best. He set the tempo with going D1, and he played corner, DB as well. So when you got somebody who set it off, the goal is to be better. I wanted to be better than him. I wanted to be the best. My nephew wanted to be better than me. He wanted to be the best. And he had an opportunity. He could have went to Oregon, went to big schools too, and grades probably held him back. But when you come from a family of athletes, everybody's striving for that number one spot.
Okay. So when you talk about different things that come from that and striving for that number one spot, as you already talked about it, Jersey is a very scrappy place. If you've never been to Jersey, folks, that is a place where you talk about I live up here, so I kind of hear the conversations of the athletes that are in Philly, New York.
Mm-hmm.
Jersey kind of gets overlooked sometimes with certain things.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand where that toughness comes from. And it's like, yeah, we right here too. We're, it's what gave you talked about your mental toughness, but coming out of high school, you're getting recruited by different schools. What was your high school experience like when you got to school playing ball? And then what was your recruiting process like? And how did those lessons that you learned from being that, like you said, that stunt double, being beat on by the big guys, help you that process of being a valuable commodity coming out of the state of Georgia? The state of New Jersey as a top player.
Right. To be honest, going into high school, I never even thought of the amount of scholarships in schools that I have opportunities to play at. To be honest, I came in, I played freshman ball. I skipped my last year of Pop Warner and went straight into high school. So it was really just that point of, I want to be the best I can be. I want to be better than my brother. I want to be better than this. I want to strive for that. And having that mentality of just wanting to be the best going into my sophomore year, I had an opportunity to play on a really good team and start and take it from there. But once again, it was never really planned. I wasn't really playing for the scholarship per se. And I wasn't competing with nobody else. I was competing within myself to say I want to be the best player I can be. In doing so, the notoriety came, the schools started to come. I remember the tri-state schools like Rutgers, Virginia Tech, West Virginia, those schools were starting to kind of come by and notice what was going on. And believe it or not, my first big offer was Miami. And I almost committed. I was like, it's not going to get better than this. I'm going to the U. And my coach, Coach Grant, he was like, hey, man, if Miami offered, just wait and see who else offered. That's typically how it gets started. And that was my junior year. Literally after that Miami offer, it just went bananas. It was like 60 offers after that. Everybody kind of started offering. But I knew the recruiting started getting real when Oklahoma came to see me right after their championship game, and Florida came to see me after the SEC championship game. Like literally right after that Monday, I spoke to the teams. They came in. I said, oh, it's starting to get real. And those came down to the top two teams that I was interested in. They actually ended up playing in the national championship game that year in 08.
And what's funny about that, and I don't talk much about it, but one of my old high school teammates was a Florida Gator, Jamar Hornsby.
Okay. Hornsby, so, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, shout out to Jay Hornsby, number 7, man. He played for the Sandalwood Saints back in the day. That was my teammate back in high school. That was my, we had a little bit of a rivalry, but that was my guy, So him going to Florida, we still talk trash to each other or whatnot. And what's funny is he's a Georgia guy like myself. He moved to Florida like I did. So we go
nice.
back and forth with that banter sometimes on Facebook. I'm like, yeah, this dude. But he's down in Miami doing well right now. But
Nice.
when you went on your recruiting trail with University of Florida, what was it that made it feel like that was the right place for you? And how did you feel you as not only just a football player, but as a young man?
Oh yeah, man. I mean, the visit was crazy. You gotta understand, Florida was on steroids at that point. So the dopamine hit of being on campus with a team that just won the national championship, a basketball team that also won a national championship, and a damn track team won a damn national championship. So it was crazy. Like it's a bunch of college kids going crazy. The party's crazy. My host at the time, which was Will Hill, also a Jersey guy, who was the #1 athlete in the nation, by the way.
Yeah.
So it was a crazy time, man. It was one of my best visits to kind of see it. So it was hard not to acknowledge being a part of it. And I really thought this would be a school where I might be able to come compete and be part of a national championship right away. But if I'm being completely honest with you, as an older guy now and seeing how times has changed,
Yeah.
it was crazy of me to go to the #1 school with how loaded that team was, and I never thought anything of it. Like my younger self felt like I was good enough to play at the best. Like I didn't factor in a step down. I feel like I couldn't play at University of Florida, but
Yeah.
was it the best idea? You get what I'm saying? As far as going to like a Oklahoma, going to a Pitt, starting right away, and a team that wasn't as loaded with Florida? Probably. But the experience was there. I mean, I still got everything accomplished, met my goal of making it to the league, but it was loaded, bro. Like the depth was crazy, coaching staff was crazy. And at the time, man, it was just the hottest school. I mean, come on, Tim Tebow, Jesus Christ himself was there. So it was hard not to be a part of the Tebow era. And he actually called me the day before signing day and was like, "We're gonna go win another one?" I can't tell Christ no. You feel me? I can't tell him no. It's like, you damn right we're gonna go win another one.
But you know
but yeah,
what?
man, it was cool.
That's funny that you say that because after they won that, it was a little bit of a change in that because Florida was still competitive at that time.
Yeah, for sure.
I still love, I got to bring up the fact that your Jersey boy had his way with him the year in 07. And y'all beat us down in 06. I'm not gonna lie, y'all beat us like we owed y'all money. And No Sean Marino had a game for the ages that day.
He did. He did.
And you guys grew up in camps and things of that sort in the Jersey area, but as much as I hate to remind Dog fans, there was an infamous play the next year that set the tone for that 08 game.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, Lord.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it was.
And shout out to Mr. Brandon Spikes.
Dog.
Lord. The hit that he put on No Sean Marino in that game, we were not the same after he hit him.
No, that changed the whole trajectory of the game. When you set the tempo early like that, you got to understand.
No Sean was getting ready to go off again because he was starting up again.
Let me tell you, I'm glad they got to him first before he got going. You get what I'm saying? They got to him first before he got going, but yeah, that set the tempo early. Was you at that game? Did you go to that one?
No, that was one where I decided to be in the house, and I decided to watch the game that year in the house. And that when I saw that hit, being a former ball player myself, and at the time I was still trying to play ball myself at the time, and trying to go the JUCO route, things didn't work. But hey, it is what it is. I'm in the house, got done running. I'm barbecuing. I'm sitting back, and right before I sat down to eat my plate of ribs, I will never forget this. I just remember when Brandon Spikes felt that hole and all you saw was, and he was sitting there looking at him like this and was talking to him. I said, it's over. I said that as soon as that hit happened because I saw the body language and I said, I know y'all not getting ready to fold like that.
No, that's it. That's it. That took the air out. You can hear the whole stadium going, ooh. It was crazy. He ain't run the same after that. He was tiptoeing through that lane after that. That was it.
And as a Dog fan, that one hurt. I'm not even gonna lie to you. That one hurt because y'all beat us by double digits in that game. That hurt.
Yeah. No, it was personal. It was
Yeah,
personal. It
but
was personal.
but you know what?
It was personal.
I can't be mad because I understand why it happened that way because we embarrassed, like you said, we embarrassed pretty much the year before, jumping on the field, doing what we do.
No, it was nasty work. It was nasty work. Y'all actually set the tempo the year before why that next year was so personal. We wasn't expecting y'all to storm the field and get belligerent out there. It got real nasty.
And here's the problem. Then y'all went 3 years. Then y'all went 2 years straight. Y'all beat us 41-7 and 17 and 09. Y'all got us in a freaking overtime game in 2010. That was sucked. But I got to throw this out here though. The game that we got you back, you happen to be in one of those plays. I'm not, you know what? Because you are good for it.
Let's go there.
I'm not gonna show it. I'm not gonna do him like that because he was nice enough to come on the show. But this is what I mean, folks, when I said we was gonna have a little banter. But there was a play where Valdosta's own Mr. Malcolm Mitchell decided he was gonna take it the distance, and you decided to blitz Aaron Murray on that play. Now, when you talk about that play, I want to hear in your own words. What made you go? What was it? The call, or did they change it at the line when you decided to come? Because Gary Daniels said, "Oh, Evans is coming," and I'll never forget you were standing on the line and you were gonna beeline right for Aaron Murray, and he just got the ball to Mr. Mitchell, and he made a hell of a play because he should have been tackled.
Facts. Yeah, I mean it was the call. It was the call, and I'm sure they saw it because it was quick game. The ball came out quick, great throw, great pitch and catch, and he made a hell of a play. There's two plays that hunt me in that game. It's that one, and it's when Jordan Reed fumbled. And those are just two plays you wish you can have back. That changed. We was going to the national championship. You give us those two plays back, bro.
I wasn't going to mention the Jordan Reed play because
it's tough.
Jarvis Jones, he just had a thing for playing against Florida.
He had a game. Jarvis Jones
had played against Florida. He had a game.
He had a game. He had a day. He had a day. He was a dog. Jarvis was a dog, man. But those are the plays, man. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, y'all didn't play well at all that game.
No,
y'all wasn't having a good game. What y'all had to have 3 turnovers, 4 turnovers? Y'all wasn't playing great at all that game.
Horrible.
And yet y'all figured out how to put that bitch together, bro. And God damn, fucked us all up.
Hey, but you know what? It's okay because at the end of the day, that game right there, we didn't, it kind of started a little something because we finally was able to get the monkey off our back. And, because I remember Isaiah Crowell was in that game as well. That's before he got in his stuff because we ended up getting Todd Gurley, and the rest is history at that point. But getting back to it, you go to Florida, you have a pretty good career there at Florida. You played under former Falcons coach Dan Quinn. What was that like, and what was his coaching style like? When you talk about Dan Quinn, we had him. We still got our feelings towards Dan Quinn because of that Super Bowl. We're not gonna talk about that. That's a little personal. But what was that like playing for Dan Quinn at Florida? And what was he like as a coach towards you guys? And what was his coaching style like?
Dan Quinn was a gift from God, man, to get him in college. And also, speaking of Jersey, another Jersey guy, Morristown, right? Yep. So it was already a connection there. But you talk about Dan Quinn and Muschamp, like those guys would help me have an opportunity to even be drafted and play at the next level. Nothing against the staff Urban Meyer had, but as far as my development of the game and my understanding of the game, it came with just a lot of meeting and understanding that the way they used their safeties and the scheme we ran was very in depth, and those guys did a good job dialing it up, having us prepared to go and compete at a high level. But Dan Quinn is he's brilliant. You get what I'm saying? He's smart and what he do, how he disguise stuff up, the double call, and just being prepared for what's what. I mean, South Carolina game, setting it off with a goddamn corner blitz. Who does that? Right? Like that's how cocky it got. Like we're going with a corner blitz first play, and it was a forced fumble. We got the ball back on the 1. So you talk about a guy who talks about getting after it. I mean, he's one of the best. I know y'all want that Super Bowl back and things that happened with him there, but speaking of his character, man, and who he is as a person, his family, and how he coached, I'm telling you, man, he's a great guy, and he developed players to become pretty good.
Man. And I'll be honest with you, because he goes to Seattle. He inherits one of the best defenses that Pete Carroll drafted. When you talk about that Legion of Boom defense,
Mm-hmm.
with Browner, with my man Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas, and then you got Bobby Wagner, Cliff Averill. You have that whole, I'm not even gonna name that whole defense. And they go to 2 Super Bowls, couple of NFC championship games during that time, and they were a dominant team. He gets to Atlanta. He inherits a team that was, really, we just weren't. I mean, we were winning with Mike Smith, but we weren't getting over the hump in the playoffs. They brought him there. First year, they go 8-8. He gets to the Super Bowl, and we know what happens. But the same type of fire that he had defensively, we didn't have that in Atlanta when he was here, just to be honest.
Right.
And it's kind of frustrating, because we all look at it like, do we think it was the pieces that was here, or was it the fact that he was at that head coaching role, because there's so many other things that he has to do that his assistants have to handle that? And does he still have a hand in that? But I'm not going to get into that, because this is about you. But that just kind of brought back some memories and some bad feelings, because the Dan Quinn that we knew that you had was the aggressive coach that I was like, well, damn, we getting this guy.
Facts.
Okay.
Facts.
And I respected it, because y'all were a problem at Florida when he was there. Y'all were a serious problem.
Think about, man, we had a lot of dogs, bro. Like, that front was crazy. Like, most of those guys played at the next level from what Dan Quinn and them guys coached up. From Dante Fowler, first round pick, Sharif Floyd, first round pick, Dominic Easley, first round pick. That's just the D line. You get what I'm saying? John, but like, there's so many guys that got developed under that system.
Man, you're absolutely right. Tell Dante Fowler he still owes us some of that money he stole from us or whatnot while he was in Atlanta. By the way, he showed out in LA, but he damn sure stole money from us in Atlanta.
Yeah. Stole a little bit. He stole a little bit.
But you know what? I can't be mad. Future planning. But with your situation, you get drafted. What was your draft experience like? And were you nervous when you were going into the combine and having to perform at that level, not knowing where you were going to go?
Yeah, I mean, it's intense. Going to the combine, that whole few days, man, it's intense, because you don't know. You got a bunch of meetings. You meeting with GMs, coaches, the whole staff. You getting on the board, drawing up your scheme. They're asking you 1,000,001 questions. You up at damn near 4:30 in the morning. People are pulling on your arms. Respectfully, it kind of feel like a damn auction, bro. And I ain't being funny. It's like you being looked at. They looking at your measurements. You lifted, you moving 225. It's just so much going on. You don't really get any rest. But in terms of my draft day, bro, like, nothing went as planned as how we thought it was going to go. So typically at the end of the season, you get what's called like your draft grade. Like, you know what I mean? How they evaluate you, right? And part of my draft grade was second, third round pick. That was kind of like the quote unquote projections of what they thought was what. It was a few boards on. I was like a top 5 safety, coming out. And I had high hopes of going second, third round. That's what I thought was going to be. And the draft come, and I tell people, I worked out with San Fran 2 days before the draft. And I met with the defensive back coach and the D coordinator. And I remember him telling me, it's going to come down to you and Eric Reed, right? He was like, I think the GM really liked Eric Reed, and he was like, as the position coach, like, I like you. We just compared it to, and I worked out with him in Jersey. Everything went well. Clearly, they went with Eric Reed, and he was a great player too out of LSU. So nothing against him. So the draft come, day one go, okay, cool. Day two come, I get a call from Dallas. So I'm like, okay, get the family ready. They was like, hey, we're thinking about taking you. And they call, they communicate, because it's draft board. So they expecting who they might have on their board might go. This Mercer might be there. There's a lot of shit going on. So
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, shit, we might be going to Dallas. Dallas come, they drafted safety. It's not me. So I'm like, oh, damn. Like, this shit crazy. Mind you, I don't know how the draft go. You know what I mean? I don't know who knows what it like. This is first generation of feeling like this how it go. So I'm like, okay, this is a little different. So Cleveland called. Hey, this was like we going into like I think the third or the fourth round or something at this time.
Uh-huh.
Cleveland called like, hey, you're on our board. We're thinking about taking you. So I'm like, all right, cool. Get the family together again. We might be going to Cleveland. They trade they fourth and fifth round pick. I'm like, holy shit. Like, damn. Where I'm going. You see what I'm saying? Buffalo calls now. Buffalo calls, and the draft not even over. Buffalo calls and say, hey, it's not a draft they call. If you don't get picked up, we want to bring you into our rookie minicamp. So I'm like, there's no way in hell. Like, it's getting to that pick, of the draft. So now we kind of stressed out. We don't know how the draft is going. Am I going to get drafted? What's going to be what? Why am I falling so low? Why is it a few safeties that was drafted before me that wasn't rated higher than me, but they went earlier? And we at that point in Jacksonville call, and we took it from there, but it went nowhere expected as what I thought it was going to be.
So before I ask you this next question, got to take a quick commercial break, got to pay some bills. You know how this goes.
Yes,
so
sir.
Y'all sit back, relax, man. We got you covered. So we'll be right back. The Birdcage LLC looks to do it again. We got the Falcon Steelers watch party September the 13th, 2026. What location do you say? At Dave & Buster's in Marietta, Georgia.
Now hand me about 4 or 5 little biscuits. I sure am hungry.
On the game day menu, there will be sliders, wings, fries, bottomless non-alcoholic drinks, but we also have a cash bar for those who want to get their drink on, and also we have a full-fledged menu with waiters and waitresses that are going to take your orders. Also, we have on the ones and twos DJ Swats in the building. We're going to have former ball players to come through to the party. Your ticket also registers you for a raffle giveaway. Hey, we got to hit this thing hard like we hit the Saints. Make sure you get your tickets. You don't want to miss. You know how we get down.
You either get right or you get left. Go.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We got Mr. Josh Evans in the building. You know how we do it. Hey, bring in a former NFL safety, pretty much Florida legend, because, hey, you were definitely one of those when you played there. You look at the legends that have come through that school, from Mr. Lewis Oliver to Major Wright, my boy Jamar Hornsby. Can't forget about Mr. Reggie Nelson, who was a pain in our ass for years. Shout out to Mr. Eraser himself. But yeah, when you got drafted to the Jaguars, did playing for Dan Quinn prepare you for the NFL, and with that similar coaching style that Gus Bradley had, and did it give you an advantage with transitioning to the league?
Absolutely. I mean, besides the team not being that good, let's call it what it is. It was a tough market, tough spot. I was able to pick up everything pretty quickly because it was a similar scheme, right? Gus Bradley and Dan Quinn, them both being in Seattle, ran pretty much the same defense, in terms of just different verbiage and different little tweaks of how they ran it. But I was able to adapt a little quicker than a lot of other guys that didn't run a similar scheme. So it helped a lot and gave me a good opportunity.
So when you get to Jacksonville, you're already used to the heat. You're acclimated at this point because you're only 30 minutes away.
Right up the street.
Right up the street, pretty much, for those who don't know. During your time in Jacksonville, what was some of the most memorable things you got to experience as a Jaguar? Because I know at that time it was still up and down with a lot of stuff with the Jags at that time. What were some of the things that you enjoyed and you look forward to when you were playing, and what were some of the memories that you take away from being a Jag?
I'll say, well, let's call it what it is. It wasn't a shit ton of great memories because, once again, we wasn't that good. But some of the biggest memories was really the camaraderie with the guys. You get what I'm saying? Hanging out with some of the guys, seeing their families, the locker room. There's a lot of stuff that go on behind closed doors where you get to really see people and what they're into, and some of the veterans that was there that kind of take you under the wing to kind of show you what's more to the game, outside of football, with some great men. Cecil Shorts was a great guy. I was cool with Paul
Mhm.
plus Leslie, great veteran with who I asked a shit ton of questions to in regards to how to take care of your body and, be prepared. So, having some of the Mercedes Lewis, another one, who just was a crafty vet, played a long time, and being able to ask them about their experiences, what to do, what not to do, um, was pretty cool.
What was your best game with the Jags and one of your favorite moments that you got with being in that organization during your few years that you were there?
Oh man, it was a few cool moments. I would say one of the moments that stood out to me was a game that I wasn't even supposed to be playing in. I had tore my MCL the week before in the Patriots game. And this is when I learned the business side of how this game go. Tore the MCL the week before. Wasn't supposed to practice at all, but we was kind of low on depth. And it was like one of those, we're going to play you an emergency. If something happened, you get what I'm saying, you would be there, but hey, we're going to try to sit you out for this game. And I was kind of confused because I'm like, why am I even suiting up this week? I got a damn torn MCL. I shouldn't be playing at all. But the nature of the business was if I didn't suit up that week, there's a chance I probably wouldn't have been there the next week. Seriously. The DB coach was like, bro, like basically it's nasty work. We got to suit you up because if not, we're working guys out on Tuesday. You get what I'm saying? I'm on my rookie deal, and there's a chance they probably would have went with another guy. So it worked in my favor to kind of go. They started the young guy that week, sat me down that week. I think it was James Sample or something like that out of Louisville.
Mhm.
Second quarter, I think he ended up catching a concussion. We was playing the Colts. He ended up catching a concussion. It was like, fuck, I'm in the game now. You know what I mean? He got hurt. And game on the line, I had made a good play on Frank Gore, who's a legendary Hall of Fame running back, and I had my first forced fumble. And it was against him. So that was just a memorable play to, come in and catch something in the red zone and give our team an opportunity to try to get back. Unfortunately, we didn't win the game, but just a play like that on a player like that, something that meant a lot in the play I never forget.
And everybody can't say they've had plays against Frank Gore.
No, not at all.
Look,
And trust me, we played him twice.
look,
He was tough. He was a lot to deal with.
a lot of us Bird fans, we have painful memories of what he did to us when he was a 49er. And if you go back to it, that was that AFC championship game. If you remember the Super Bowl between Baltimore and the 49ers, we were supposed to be playing Baltimore that year in the Super Bowl. The 49ers weren't supposed to get that. We ended up giving up the draws at the end of that game defensively. And then we at the end when we were supposed to put it in, pass interference didn't get called, and it was plain as day. And the ref comes out the next day and says, you know what? We missed the pass interference that was on Roddy White. And I'm like, that would have changed the trajectory of everything. But hey, can't cry over spilt milk because let's be real. The Jags got screwed in 2017 big time by the Patriots.
Oh, man, it was terrible.
That was awful. Now, look.
Terrible.
With that play that your boy picked off that pass and was going all the way down to the end zone, Jacksonville should have been in the Super Bowl that year. I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
But it is what it is. A lot of calls get blown. That's the nature of the beast, unfortunately. But I'll be honest with you. I think y'all would have kicked Philly's ass that year. That's just me. Philly wouldn't have got that first Super Bowl. Not with that Jags team. No.
It was loaded.
A lot of people gonna get mad when I say that, but nah, that Jags team was loaded that year because unfortunately you ended up going to Washington pretty much right before all the success started turning around in Jacksonville. What was that like for you in that situation when you got traded to Washington and you getting to see your buddies that might be on that team starting to get that success? How was that for you at that point running to a team like Washington? I'm not going to get too crazy into it because I've heard a lot about Dan Snyder, which I'm not going to speak on, but it's just things that we know. What was that like for you going from one place to a dysfunctional place?
Right. I mean, you could tell at that point, Jacksonville was trying to figure shit out, right? We just went a few years in a row with things not, going in our favor, and it was time for change. You bring in the Jalen Ramsey and Leonard Fournette. You start bringing in guys that kind of surround the team and get the team going. I was proud. I was happy of those guys. I didn't like how it ended for me. I was in my feelings about that, but I understood the nature of the business and how this game goes. And it was just two different places. Like going from Jacksonville to DC, two different cultures, two different styles of practice, two different lifestyle. It was like night and day. And not necessarily that Washington was just the answer neither, but you got to understand when I was in Jacksonville, we was the youngest team in the league, right? It was very few guys we had as veterans. By week 3, we had 4 rookies that was starting, 2 safeties and 2 corners that was all draft picks in 2013, right? So we was a young team trying to get things figured out. I get to DC and you can see it was more of an older culture there. You get what I'm saying? It was ran by veterans. It was the coaching staff was a little more laid back, a little bit more chill. And they was trying to make a playoff run, during that time. So they were just in a better position, with Jay Gruden and them. But it was tough, bro. It was tough. I was hoping that I was able to play my last year in Jacksonville before, the things happened. But yeah, it was tough. But I was happy for them because a lot of them guys, that's who you fought with, blood, sweat, and tears, and been in camps and dog fights with. So, seeing them get that opportunity to try to change things around was just like, thank God, at least somebody's getting that opportunity to have something to fight for.
Now, I didn't know the journey because I know you ended up playing for the Orlando Apollos before that team folded. When did you know the journey was over for you as a ball player? When did you have to come to terms with that?
Yeah, I mean, I knew playing for the Apollos it was over. I knew then. Part of me even doing that was just kind of a test for myself. Like, is this something I want to do? Because I was kind of over it at that point. After I done played, 4 or 5 years, like I got hurt. I tore my quad and I missed the season. So trying to get back, the recovery and all of that shit you don't feel the same. You don't feel like your old self. So having that opportunity to play in, Orlando with the Apollo team was like, all right, let me see how this feels. You see if I give it a shot back. And like I said, my body felt different. I didn't feel like my old self. I feel like I lost a step a little bit coming off the quad. I'm hesitant to kind of plant, drive, and do the things that was always natural to me. And I remember we played a team in Atlanta. And this really when I knew, okay, this shit over. I'm done. It was like a 3rd and 15, and they ran like a screenplay. And I was at safety. I came down. I made the stop. I hit the running back, and like my shoulder went numb. Body felt crazy. I said, "It's over. Like I'm done, bro." And then not only that, it's like you spoiled a little bit. To play in the league, you spoiled. The amount of money you making, you get what I'm saying? The things you got access to, the Nike deals, the cleats, the gloves. I mean, it's fantasy compared to these other leagues that's not the league. So I felt like, you just went from over, a few $1 million contract to 40, 50, 60,000 or whatever it was. It just was like, yo, I'm over it. I'm not about to sit out here banging my body up, do all of this. And the league ended up folding like a week or 2 after that. So I was just mentally and physically just kind of over it at that point.
And we talk about different things that's motivation for you. You and I talked about this when we met at Miss Jones's experience. If y'all didn't see that, y'all need to go back and look at that clip. You talked about your mom, how she played a big part into your life. Talk about the struggles that you dealt with after she passed on, and what values did she leave you, and what motivated you to keep going and watching her fight through cancer at that time.
Right. So, I mean, I lost my mom when I was 13 going on 14 years old. Right. And I witnessed that firsthand. Like I walked in the room and pretty much saw my mother out of it, unconscious. She passed away from ovarian cancer. So for any kid to see that, nothing about your life would be normal ever again. Right. It's life changing to see the person you love the most, the person who shows you, gives you life, shows you love, take care of you. Life was never the same. So even to this day, a lot of the stuff I dealt with after that was kind of like a blur. Like it wasn't a normal high school. I didn't go through my teenage years like normal. It was different. family was different. My dad was different. My house was different. Things were ran um, different. So, my mom was real strict. She was real strict. She ran a strict program on how things was, but she was really, really loving, and she meant well and she wanted everybody to be good. And a lot of the things I learned from my mom, and I had a good, a good pops too, former veteran, he served in Vietnam and, he was a manly man, if you will, old school guy. Um, but as far as mental toughness, that came from my mom, right? Like seeing her go through cancer, going through the chemo, losing her hair, getting skinny, losing the weight, not feeling good, never cracked as a parent. Still woke up every morning, and I was the baby boy. Woke up every morning, made breakfast, washed clothes, did what she had to do. It's like she never broke character. And I'll never forget that because my mental toughness will never be as strong as her mental toughness. Hell, I had the flu a few weeks ago and was down for 7 days. Trust me, I was putting no one before me. Understand that. I didn't have the mentality to, I got a daughter. Like it was the end of the world for me. I'm just being real. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Like I didn't have the mental capacity to get up, make breakfast, do a damn thing. I'm in the bed, I'm on meds, it's the end of the world. Period.
You
Right?
want to know the truth?
Talk to me.
I'm kind of dealing with that right now because of the change of weather and how stuff has
Yes,
been up
sir.
here and this little bug
Yes,
going
sir.
around. I'm fighting through that right now on here
I'm
because I'm
trying to
telling
tell
you
you.
now, as soon as I get off this interview with you, I'm gonna lay back, get that NyQuil, and
All right.
I'm and a
All
hot
right.
toddy. I'm good. That's what it's
Telling
gonna
you
be
what?
tonight.
I'm
Cause look,
telling you.
I feel you on that. When you talk about it's hard when you have
What?
that, but especially a
Yo,
summertime cold, boy.
men,
Ugh,
let's call it what it is. Men are already different. Men are like
yeah,
physically strong, but mentally we deal with
mentally,
little
nope.
shit. Like we ain't the strongest, bro.
And
Like we ain't we
I
ain't
think
we ain't there.
when you talk about women and you talk about strength, and your mom fighting that fight, going through that cancer,
Right.
I didn't see cancer, but I saw my grandmother go through dementia, and I was very tight with my grandmother, and I watched her go downhill, and that was a tough battle for me at
Right.
that time. And that's still one of the loves of my life. I love my mama. My
Sure.
mom, that's my girl. I do anything, but grandmama, that was my girl right there.
Right.
So when you spoke on your mom the way that you did, and you talked about how she motivated you, like I get it because I watched my grandmother all the way to the end. Just she never let it bother her, even when she was a bit of a prisoner in her own body. So watching
Right.
watching how women would fight through things to still teach you stuff, even when they're not all the way there, that
Right.
is a testament in itself. So for you to have that, going to University of Florida was going to be easy compared to dealing with
Oh,
that.
for sure.
That was going to be
For
a
sure.
cakewalk. And
Facts.
competition is nothing when you have motivation like that, where you have somebody that you cared for that always had your back that's no longer here. It's like, what else? I'm gonna give you the perfect example for it. Buster Douglas lost his mom before the Mike Tyson fight. A lot of people talk about, oh, well, Tyson did this. He whooped Mike Tyson's ass.
Come on.
He had nothing that he was afraid of. He lost his mom.
Facts.
So when you lose something like that and you're close to that,
Facts.
man, anything in front of you is minor. So
Facts.
I have a lot of respect for you because you went through some of the adolescent years of your life without having that voice that is a bit of a reason. No disrespect to Pops, because Pops held it down.
Yeah, no, for
Shout out
sure.
to Pops.
For sure.
But with mom not being there, that's always a tough thing because that's a piece that holds a lot together.
Facts. Nah,
So
big facts. And I mean, not to get too wordy with losing a mom, but for a young boy, people don't talk about the things you lack by not having your mom, right? And everybody growing up is different, but like I lacked empathy. You get what I'm saying? I lacked feeling and emotions. I was numb to a lot of shit. You lose the one person you love, and this is before I had a kid. Like you don't care about a lot of shit. You move different. That's why a lot of stuff was a blur. Like it was hard for me to relate to certain things because who was going to check me? You get what I'm saying? Who was going to say that? Like you look at love different. right?
Yep.
Because you feel like, damn, the person I love was taken away from me. It's hard to love again. It's hard to commit to something and you don't have an understanding on why this happened or why that happened. Um, but like I said, man, life is a funny thing, and that happened. And look, I got an opportunity to grow up and reach my goals. So it's a lot, man. I learned from my mom, and like I spoke about, during that meeting, it's like, you know, there's a lot of single parents out here. There's a lot of mom raising young boys. It's called it what it is, right? Some of them
Yep.
do a pretty good job. Some of them drop the ball. But for those who do and who's locked in, I don't think the moms get enough credit. And a lot of men learn a lot of stuff from women.
Yep.
You learn a lot. You learn from their mistakes and you learn from the things they do right. But like I said, my mental toughness ain't come from a man. It came from my mom. It ain't come from my dad. And I that's one thing I can't take away from her, because as you know, playing this game of football outside the physicality is a lot of
Yeah.
mental toughness. Can you mentally be prepared? Can you mentally deal with being uncomfortable? Can you mentally deal with them drafting another guy who played the same position as you, and this is a guy you got to compete with every year? So, yeah.
And see, your pops is a vet, so I can speak on that side of the house too, because like I said, I'm one of the failed athletes. That's what I call it. I didn't make it. I'm the failed athlete. I'm okay with saying that. But we tell people the same thing. This is why we were saying when we had that conversation at that table. The thing that's similar with the military and sports is this: you're gonna always have somebody coming in to take your job. It doesn't even, and people don't understand this, but it's it's a lot worse. At least in football, you can get back at folks. It's a lot worse in the service because you can't get back at some of those people because of the paperwork that protects a lot of them now. So when you talk about competition, you can't be soft-hearted. You got to deal with what comes at you. So when you said that about your pops, I was just like, shit, he understands. And
No, for sure.
we definitely get it. So when you were talking about that mental toughness and just being able to understand that, hey, this could happen or this could happen, you know what? Okay, well, if this, and this happen, hey, I got to prepare for this. That's just what it is.
Right.
No feelings involved. Hey, this is business. This is just how you got to handle it. But
Right.
getting to a lighter note, we appreciate you talking a little bit about your mom and your family on that note. We got to talk about your endeavor that you have going on right now. You had a gym at one point that you talked about that you sold, but now you've worked into the world of streaming, pretty much what we're doing right now. So
Right.
let's talk a bit about it. Called the Keep It a Buck podcast. And this is with your guy, Mr. Jarvis, as well. So talk
Yes,
a little bit about it and tell the folks what they can expect from this show and what you guys bring to the table. And I'm bringing this up for people to see so they can subscribe to it as well. This is on
Nah,
YouTube.
man, I appreciate that. So about a year ago, my friend Jarvis, he's been trying to get me to speak and do things for a long time, a few years before we even started the podcast. And we would always have deep conversation and talk about stuff. Jarvis' dad also played at the University of Florida too, so we had ties in just sports. His dad played at Florida. His dad was, I think, drafted to Miami, played in the league, so he got to see a lot of stuff. Jarvis played at JU. Um, but as we just kind of spoke, man, we talked about we're always like, bro, keep it a buck. And it was just really keeping it real. And it led into us talking about transitions, life transitions, my transition from the league to reality and what I'm doing now, his transition from, college to becoming a husband and having kids and then also dealing with a divorce, right? So like with us having those conversations and just speak, it was like, bro, I think it's time for us to really get into this, right? Let's talk about it. Let's have conversation. Let's be vulnerable. Let's be open. Let's engage with other people who go through transitions because truth be told, everybody's dealing with a transition. Hell, you dealing with a transition now, right? I'm dealing with a transition. We're all dealing with something. So that's really what the podcast about. We do have fun moments, some things we switched around and guests and people we speak to that comes in, but it's all about just being real, being organic, being yourself. Like I said, life transitions, more so talking about the storm before the success, right? It's easy to talk about once you made it, but it ain't easy to talk about what it took to make it, you know? And I like to know that, what did you go through? What did you experience? What was that like? What was your darkest moment? How did you get to where you was at now? And I think that's really what we take heed to.
And when you look at it, I wanted to make sure that the folks got to see it. And so you know what to look for when you look for his podcast. That's on YouTube. Definitely got some great material. One of the things that kind of stuck out to me, you guys talked about not being able to conversate, and you're leaning on social media and technology instead of just having conversations with people. That was something that stuck out to me personally because I hate text messaging. Just gonna be honest. I hate texting. I'd rather pick up the phone and have a conversation with you or have a face-to-face conversation. Just no disrespect to anybody who loves technology. I get it. It's cool. You can use it, but don't just rely on it. That's not everything. You gotta have lives outside of this world.
Correct. I mean, it's bad, man. I mean, you got people who are using chat as a damn therapist. Like, what are times getting to, right? We talking about virtual reality, AI. We're talking about technology to respond off things that you're putting into this algorithm to spit something out. It's getting bad. The minute you start to take away true feelings and emotions and people who are actually trained to talk to people about being depressed, PTSD, anxiety, things of that nature, or just people who just need to hear from somebody, it could become, real nasty.
And when you look at, and like you said, when you look at how things are going in the regular world, it's just most people, when you sit in the room with people, what's the first thing they grab? Phone. They're all into their phone. I've been guilty of it too, because I'm always working and doing stuff. But a lot of people don't know what it's like to have the art of conversation. Most people don't understand how to communicate in a room, or at least how to have a conversation over business deals. And that's the sad part, but networking is starting to become obsolete when it comes to having casual conversation. And I hate that it's like that now, because you don't get to know who you're working with. You're knowing what their product is, but you don't know that person. And that kind of takes away from a lot of stuff. That's why when you and I met, I was like, no, I was trying to have a conversation before I even sat you down at the table, because you and I had that conversation because, like we said, okay, you might have a little something that I want to talk about, but if you might not be, the right fit for what I want to do, I'm not gonna go down that route with you.
Facts.
Because it's and this is no lie. There have been athletes that we've talked to before we even got on here. We're like, nah, we'll just pass on that. It just won't work. And I like the fact that you're upfront, you're honest, and you're very transparent with your story and what you're looking at now. And we definitely appreciate that. So I got to give you your flowers, by the way.
Appreciate it.
Your boy Kyle Pitts got paid. Well, I was wrong about it. I told you, I said, if I was wrong, I told you, I said, I would tell you.
I told you, I said, he gonna get it back.
But here's my thing. I just don't want it to be the banana in the tailpipe. I need production now. Now you got a bag, and now you have more quarterbacks, because Jonnu Smith got paid off them same crappy quarterbacks, and so did Drake London. So now that you've gotten paid, there's no more excuses at this point.
No, it's time to get to it.
So, and that's what I wanted to ask you about. Now, I'm not gonna keep you too much longer, but see, that's what I want to ask you about. Now, when you got a guy like a Pitts, and I'm speaking on our offense, because you got, as a former safety, you're on the defense, you're looking at who you got to stop. You got Drake on one side, you got Bijan in the back, you have Pitts, and now you have Jahan Dotson that's on the other side, and then they just drafted Zachariah Branch. Just talk a little NFL ball. When you look at this offense, are you looking at who are you gonna stop, or are you looking at who's gonna put a hat on either Penix or Tua and pretty much stifle this offense, because both of those quarterbacks are one hit away, unfortunately, because of the injury history? How would you look at that with this offense if you had to stop this offense?
So truth be told, I mean, it's a team sport. So I'm never looking at it from a one-on-one standpoint, as in me and the Kyle Pitts, and I got to stop him. Schematically, I'm looking at what's going to put us in the best position to stop them, right? What is the weak links, right? What are the things that we know we can dominate? How is the O-line? How is our front compared to their front? How do we create mismatches just as much as them creating mismatches? How can I edge rush beat y'all left and right tackle, right? So like these are the things that we're looking into to see who's the strength, who's the weakness, who's their red zone target, right? What do they like to do on first and second down, and how can we, put ourselves in the best position to win? So I'm gonna tell you right now, of course, we're gonna look at who's at quarterback, right? Who's going to get his team the best opportunity at quarterback, and how productive are they? Everybody kind of getting a clean slate. Is a new season. We don't know, right? We don't know who's going to be the guy, who's going to be what. But I guarantee you, for Tua, 9 times out of 10, we're going to be watching a lot of Miami film, right? What is he doing out there, right? How did people win with him last time? Okay, what are they going to try to do? And then, of course, then they get into matchups. After you look at the schematics, then now you're looking at the matchup. When I'm in position where they flex a Kyle Pitts out, and I might have to be with him one-on-one, right? What does that look like? What routes am I getting out of him? Is he still motivated now that he got the money? You get a lot of people who get the bag and don't be 100%.
Can you say that again? Because
is he still motivated?
This is what I got hit. I got a lot of grief for saying we've seen this before, because we saw it with Devontae Freeman when he got his money. We saw it with Desmond Trufant. We saw it with Julio Jones. When certain guys get their money at that point, they, like you say, some guys still love to play the game. And then you got some guys that just are like, you know what? I got my money. I'll just go through the motions and play, but I'm not going to give it as like I gave before. Right. How are those type of guys looked at in the locker room, and when do you realize that the game is just a business at that point? In the locker room, when you have guys that are like that.
Truth be told, it varies by it varies by position. You get what I'm saying? It varies by position. It varies how you being used. What's what? I've seen it happen time and time with running backs, tight ends, linemen, D-line, like you name it. Each position, you get a guy who get a bag and don't be the same after that. It depends on the player, right? Like some guys are motivated, they're hungry. Some guys making $1 million a game and feel like I'm still going to get paid regardless of how I do, right? So once you start to lose a little bit of love of the game and you don't become as competitive, it's over, right? Like Ezekiel Elliott didn't run the same after he got paid. He wasn't the same running back, right?
I thought I was the only one that paid attention to that.
No, it wasn't on the same. Like that's just what it is. It's very few guys who get paid and turn out to be exactly that after that, right? Like, J.J. Watt got paid and still was balling. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he still was doing it. It's like a little injury, little knick-knack. Like, but I'm telling you, some people get paid and start to shut it down. Now, with Kyle Pitts, I will say this. I think youth is on his side. He's still young, and he still got a lot of juice to go. And we're going to see with this new system how they use him. Because now with him being paid, that means he's going to demand more, right? You got to get me active. You got to get me in space. You got to create more mismatch. You got to get the balls in my hand. Pause. If they're not getting him active in these first few weeks, you're going to see a dip in his game. You're going to see him feeling like, all right, bro, y'all paid me and y'all not using me. So he's going to have to be used. He's going to have to get his touches each week to feel like, okay, the motivation is still there and I'm active.
Because the thing is, like I was telling a lot of Falcon fans, I'm like, look, the offense run through number 7. It run through Bijan Robinson pretty much.
Correct.
And you got Drake, who really has been the feature. But now we got to see if they're going to use Pitts in the red zone. Are you going to use him in situations where he can open it up for a Zachariah Branch or Jahan Dotson at that point? Because you got 3 guys that have gotten paid, and now you got 2 other guys that are on this offense. One is a rookie that's trying to get his feet wet and trying to learn, pretty much earn his way into the league. And then you got Jahan Dotson, who got forgotten in Philadelphia, of course, because of A.J. Brown and all those guys that were there. And, he was silent in Washington before he got hurt. So now he's trying to have a second chance at his career. Do you think, in your opinion, do you think that this offense has a chance to actually be something special depending on how the quarterback play is and how things are used?
I'm going to be completely honest with you. Everything going to come down to, one, who's at quarterback and how do they get started? What do y'all first 4 weeks look like? Also, I haven't looked at the schedules. Who are y'all playing the first 4 weeks, Do you have that information?
I'm going to tell you the honest to God truth. We got one of the hardest schedules in the league We start off. We actually start off with the Packers.
Banger.
We get the Saints.
Banger.
We get the Ravens.
Banger.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We got some tough games. So while we're
Saints,
sitting here
y'all might be
looking
able
at
to make something shake, but y'all starting it off is
that's
crazy.
what I'm like. It's
right?
not gonna be. It's not gonna be easy. But I'll say this, man. When you look at, matter of fact, let me not tell that lie. Let me go ahead and pull up the 2026 schedule, because those are some of the teams that we got to play this year that I just named.
Right.
So
Yeah, see, let me see who y'all first few game, because I'm telling, like, that's going to determine a lot. If it's starting out with bangers, sometimes that's tough.
that's the thing.
That's tough. But I will remain hopeful, because we had a crazy ass schedule last year.
Let me go ahead and say we have the Steelers in week 1, because we're throwing a party for that. But I just gave you some of the teams. So this is who we got. We got the Steelers week 1, Carolina week 2, Green Bay week 3, and then you got the Saints in week 4. And then Baltimore is week 5, and then week 6 you got the Bears.
Okay, there's a little wiggle room, and it's competitive as hell, but there's a little wiggle room to see what they do. I think you guys got a lot of talent, on that team, but once again, talent don't mean shit if you ain't winning games, right? Like, that's what it's going to come down to, wins and losses.
And here's the thing that I keep telling people. I'm not worried. Right now, it's like, well, why are you not worried about the quarterback? I said, I'm not worried about the quarterback. The position I'm worried about cost us a quarterback last year, right tackle.
Come on.
No disrespect to Elijah Wilkinson. He talked his trash walking out of the door, but if he would have been consistent, we probably wouldn't have Tua here. Penix would still be starting, because he blew his knee out last year because of that right tackle spot. And this, you got a left-handed quarterback. That right side is his blind side. And if you know that we're struggling, like you just said, if you know that we're struggling to pass protect, run blocking is never a problem. It's pass pro. If we're struggling to pass protect, you're pretty much going to put your best pass rusher on that side, and, hey, we need you to make something shake. This is just how this is going to go, so you can throw off their passing game. That is the biggest question for the offense. The defense was never a question. You saw how that defense was last year.
Right.
And when you look at
you guys, I'm being honest, man. If y'all find a way to build good chemistry, I wouldn't do nothing too crazy. Get the ball out, complete the throws, move the ball, have a strong run game. Y'all got a good running back. If y'all can run the ball well and make good plays passing the ball, I think y'all will be all right. If the run can't get going, and if the chemistry not there with the quarterback and the receivers, it's going to be a long, long season.
And that's the thing I'm looking at, because the defense gave us tons of chances to get into ball games last year. Because you and I had that conversation at the Lynn Jones experience, and you were like,
"Yep."
I'll be honest with you. When you see what that defense was moving like, you had young guys and Xavier Watts, Billy Bowman, Jesse Bates.
A lot of dogs on defense.
Divine Diablo, I hated that he went down with that broken arm, but we saw how that defense went once he got hurt. It kind of struggled because he was really the ace in the hole. And if you look at what they brought in, Christian Miller, Channing Tindall at the linebacker spots to also help out with Jalen Walker. James Pierce Jr., we don't know when he's going to come back. He's still dealing with, he got the charges were dropped, but you know this from playing in the NFL. Roger Goodell is unforgiving with certain things. He's going to drop the hammer. We just don't know when.
Facts. You can bet your bottom dollar on that.
Because right after James got in that situation, you had Josh Jacobs getting something domestic-wise. So now, if it was one person, he might have went semi-light because his charges got dropped. But we know that Roger Goodell's getting ready to make an example out of the last 3 guys that just got in trouble.
Facts. You got to.
So, looking at this here, when you look at this defense, you saw that they were really good at sacks this year. They set a franchise record for the Falcons in sacks. Literally was a top defense for majority of the season until the epic collapse, unfortunately, throughout the end of the season. Right. When you look at this defense, if you were playing still, what is something that you take away from this defense that you think that your game would have been able to fit?
Well, one, I think schematically, I like how they play the game. Also, two, some of the young guys in the secondary running around making plays, right? The linebackers. It's like y'all got enough talent on that team to take it as far as you guys want. But I tell you what, a defense eventually get tired after you go 3 and out so many damn times and you're not scoring points. You're going to wear a defense down, right? You know what I mean? When you guys give an offense so many turnovers and they're not turning that into points, worst case, a damn field goal to like build some momentum, you become drained, bro. And I've been in that position. You know, when you create turnovers and it's like, yo, we ain't doing shit. Bro, when I was in Jacksonville, sometimes our points only came from Josh Scobie, which is the goddamn kicker. Literally. We couldn't score points. We could only kick field goals. It's like, God damn, this is the league and we can't get in the zone. So sometimes it's not even showing how good the defense can be because you might have balled out first, second, third quarter, and you just blown in the fourth. Like, bro, you know, we done made plays, turnovers, and we just can't score. So I think you guys, you know, I think y'all will be better this year. Some guys coming back, the draft coming in. I like the young guy y'all drafted. I think y'all brought Buddy, his brother in, I think, right? Don't y'all got two?
We brought Avion Terrell and AJ Terrell's little brother.
Yeah, brought his little brother in. You know, y'all got some young guys who can play. And like I said, pass rush, people who can get home, you know, get to the quarterback. So y'all in position. Defense gonna be y'all issue. It's gonna come down to possession of that ball and scoring touchdowns. Literally, it's been a while since Atlanta been electric on offense, you know, and that's what everybody waiting to see.
But I've been preaching trenches for years. Because let's be real, last time we really had good trench play for pass protection was 2017. And we ended up losing to Philly in that playoff game because we took the ball out of Tevin Coleman's hand, trying to make Julio Jones the hero in that game. And Jalen Mills, a.k.a. the Green Goblin, with that pass interference he got in that game.
Come on.
Well, look, we know it was PI. You even know it was PI. But you in Philly, you're not going to sit there and call that. Not in that game.
You know what? One thing about that offense, too, was y'all was completing throws down the field. Y'all had an explosive offense. Julio was taking the top off shit. You get
Between him and Mohamed Sanu? Yeah.
Oh, my God. Another Jersey guy.
Yes, Mohamed Sanu.
Bro.
He has the, next to Larry Fitzgerald, he's the only other player in the NFL that has the least amount of drops. But people don't know that, though, if they don't look up those numbers.
You talk about explosive plays. So as a defender, right, anything past like 15 yards is like an explosive play. Y'all had a shit ton of explosive plays with them two players. Where y'all and Matt Ryan throwing that bitch down on the field. Like, that was never an issue. Y'all was airing it out. It's been a long time since we've seen Atlanta complete a lot of explosive play. I'm being real. Like, I haven't really seen a lot of y'all complete a lot of explosive plays.
I'm laughing because we've been preaching this for a minute. But you know what the sad part about it is? You know, see, I told you as a dog, you know, I get pleasure in messing with y'all. There was a Gator who also cost us in that damn playoff game in 2017, by the way, because of them Butterfingers of his. Man by the name of Keon O'Neal.
Oh, the safety, Keon.
Yeah, one of yours.
Yeah, Keanu.
Remember, he went up to try to catch a pass. It hit him dead in the hands, and he dropped it.
I remember that.
And we were like, dude, really?
Damn.
Nobody was around. Like, that was yours.
That changed the whole game there.
Because think about it. They got a field goal before the half. And guess what the score ended up being? 3 points. The area where he dropped the ball at, they ended up kicking the field goal, and it cost us. See, now I'm not gonna lie to you. Now there's one Gator that I really did like that played for us. Brian Poole. Love that dude. Love Poole, man. Look, that's sacrilegious for me to say this, but I loved his game. Loved how he played in the slot. Loved how he covered. And he came up like you owed him money and he just hit you in the mouth and you owed him money. That's how he played. And I loved his game. I hated that we traded him. If it was anybody that we should have got rid of first, it was damn Keon O'Neal. Keep Poole, please. Like Poole, and to me, I feel like even when Poole was at Florida, he was one of those guys that you had to respect because he could change the game with one play. He was just one of those type of guys. And when he got to Atlanta, he was the same way. So yeah. So I still got a little bit of anger towards Keon O'Neal costing us in that damn playoff game. still to this day. But you know what? We got to let it go because I can't just put it all on him. I put part of that on Dan Quinn because you could have told Steve Sarkisian's drunk ass, don't throw to Julio, give it back to Coleman. They can't stop him. Like, and shout out to Tevin Coleman. You know, he's an Indiana guy that just won their first national championship this year. Well, who saw that coming?
Right,
but,
crazy.
And that's his alma mater. But Tevin Coleman was a dynamic running back in the league, and unfortunately, he played in 2 Super Bowls and didn't get a ring. Shanahan cost him both times, unfortunately.
Nasty work.
In the same fashion.
Nasty work.
So definitely, Josh, man, I definitely appreciate you coming through tonight, man. We definitely want the folks to check out Keeping the Buck podcast. Let them know when you're on and what times they can catch you.
Definitely, man. We've been releasing episodes on Friday and Monday, so y'all tap in. Once again, the Keep It a Buck pod on all platforms, all social media platforms with Josh and Jarvis. Tune in, man. A lot of good stuff we got coming out.
Man, we definitely appreciate you. You got any events or anything coming up you want to let the folks know about that's down in the Florida area? Because we have some Gator fans that are Falcon fans that also tuned in, and they do support former Gators and also former Falcons as well.
Right now, we got some stuff in the work. Nothing yet. I'll say the next few weeks. You know, I have more information for you. Some things we talking with my Gators, with the Jags, and also in the city. You know, a few little event spots that we'll be hosting and doing things with the podcast. So once we fine tune those and get those contracts signed, man, I'll definitely holler at you and let you know we're ready to go.
Hey man, you let me know. I'll be right there in Jacksonville. I support, man.
Yes,
just
sir.
long as you don't have me in no damn Gator stuff, man. That's all I'm gonna say.
Send me your P.O. box, man. I got your Gator jersey coming in the mail.
No, sir. Hey, listen, you know what? Go ahead and send it to me. I need something that I can shine my car with. That's about as good as it's fuck.
That's crazy. That's crazy. That is bananas.
Oh no, see, that's what you get for messing with me like that. See, I detail cars too, so I need a little buff rag or whatnot. Get that wax off that car.
You gotta throw that on. You gonna see it. You gonna want to put it. You want to put that orange and blue on. You always have. You want to put it on. You like those colors,
brother. The only colors that I wear outside of this, because I support HBCUs, is them Southern Jags, baby blue and gold. That's the only other school that I will wear. No sir. So
the Gators your second team. I know. It's cool. Let
me make sure I put this out. No, that is my first team. I support HBCUs before I support Power 5 schools. Georgia is a school that I grew up loving, and I still love that, but I'm always going to support HBCUs before, because again, we all know the struggle of that. Those were the schools that gave us the opportunities first before these schools did. So, but I appreciate you, my brother. Definitely thank you for coming through. Tell Jarvis I said what's up, man, and tell him thank you for allowing us to have some of y'all time, man. Next time we got to bring, hopefully if the Jags ever play us in a season game, maybe a Super Bowl, we got to do a collab show.
That's a fact. Let's do it. Lock it in.
Definitely. Maybe we can do something for Georgia, Florida this year.
Okay. We might be able to make that shake too. You might want to pull up to that.
I'm saying
want to pull up because I want to say, did they figure out the sites? It's in Atlanta.
So Georgia, Florida's in Atlanta this year, and then next year it's going to be in Tampa. So if that shakes or whatever, like I said, we can definitely set something up when we come to Atlanta and we all kick it around that time for Georgia, Florida, or whatnot, get together and maybe do a little show or something.
Keep me posted, brother. If I'm there, we can definitely get it going.
That's a bet, my brother. I appreciate you again. Thank you for coming through, sir.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yes, sir. Hey, man, shout out to Mr. Josh Evans for coming through. This has been another episode of On The Perch, man. We appreciate you guys for coming through. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to take time to hear Josh and me go back and forth, man. We definitely enjoyed it. Hey, we love you guys. We'll catch you on the next one, man. You know how we get down. You either get right or you get left. Ghosts.